hits for March 2016, episode 11. And this month we saw Avengers! King of the Hill got a little too real. And Clint Barton still is working out those blackheads. And Colby's beautiful Remender apocalypse will happen, and he will be the king of us all. March was a weird month. There were 5 Wednesdays, kind of spread everything a little thin, and Colby's in Florida.
Hey guys, it's Colby from Cover Judge. Coming at you from
Boca Raton, Florida. So,
I'm John. I'm an expert on international superhero team-ups.
we've got, what are they? Alpha Flight.
Justice League Europe?
He just told us,
International Justice League?
John just told us way more information than I've ever wondered about Justice League Europe.
Excalibur?
Why do you know so many? I didn't even know any. Anyway, he's going to sit in for Favorite First this month. Thank you. To kick it off, hits and misses. Last month, we predicted what our favorite comic would be, or what we're most excited about in March 2016, and now we're going to tell you how that panned out for us. I'll start it off. Jason McNamara and Greg Hinkle's graphic novel, something we don't usually talk about, The Rattler. Wow, this was a twisted, weird little tale about some really messed up stuff. Definitely be using roadside assistance next time I get a flat tire. It was really, really just kind of disturbing. As a follow-up to Airboy, the big question is, how many penises are in it? There weren't any penises in it. There is a snuff film being filmed in the movie. He gets his thumb cut off, and so he can, and then he pulls his hand out of like one of those like medieval, like my head and my hands are in here. This dude cuts. It's disgusting. It was a disgusting book. The art was really great. It was the highlight of the entire book. It's all black and white except for anytime there's blood, it's like super bright red, and it was really effective for the smut in this fucking graphic novel. Last month, I was looking forward to Black Widow #1 as my most anticipated comic for March from Mark Waid and Chris Samney, Marvel Comics. Obviously it's the first issue, so we'll be getting into it a little bit later. I'll just say things are looking good. It wasn't bad. And since Colby's not here, I guess we should mention he picked some Hellboy title that none of us read. All right. Hey!
Quick follow-up to my forecast for last month. It was BPRD Hell on Earth number 140, The Exorcism. It still is my forecast for this coming month because it was on hiatus and doesn't come out till April 20th. Basically, the world is falling apart, and it seems there's a lot of weight on Ashley Strode's shoulders, and we're wondering if she can delay the inevitable end of the Magnolaverse.
Each month we go through the first issues and tell you how accessible they are and whether we want to continue reading them. To start us off,
We have The Discipline from Image. The Discipline is a bored 20-something lured in by literal sexual demons. So this was a very sexy comic. Very accessible.
yeah, brand new comic.
I really enjoyed the story. It was confusing in a good way, in an intriguing way.
Gonna keep reading it?
I would keep reading this, I think.
I'll give it another go. The whole idea of it was very strange, and yeah, it was mysterious. It led me on, and I'm gonna go ahead and get that second issue. The art was really cool.
It's always a fine line between smut and,
It was a fine line between smut.
I did feel a little dirty reading it, but I like
That's
it.
always...
I wouldn't read it on the bus.
Yeah.
What you got, Seth?
Okay, Black Widow from Marvel. Fan favorite Black Widow stole something. S.H.I.E.L.D. wants it back. It doesn't look like she's going to hand it over. It is very accessible. It might help a little bit if you've seen some of the movies. But how good was it? It was really good.
I'm giving it a big thumbs
It
up.
was my favorite first issue from March. The art specifically, Chris Samney takes a bigger role in the storytelling compared to their Daredevil run, and I think it really shines through. There's a really cool 2-page spread of her jumping out of a helicarrier, and it was fantastic.
Big props to Matt Wilson, the colorist. There's, in that 2-page spread, the only thing that you really see is her hair. It's just like a flash of red. It's
from so far away, like extra...
I'm just going to say it. I think the art was fantastic. Good story, sparse dialogue, huge action sequence, super fun. What'd you think, John?
I didn't love it.
Okay, why
Ooh.
not? Tell us why. This was my favorite first issue this month. Seth's too.
Yep.
Give it to me.
Nothing happened.
Nothing.
Literally nothing happened.
Okay.
I would not keep reading.
Really?
Really.
You're just giving up on Natasha
it was
Romanoff.
it was a cool fight sequence, but no story. I just
I'm
needed
okay
a
with
little
that.
bit. I needed
I'm
a
okay
little bit
with
more.
that.
The art was
A
great,
well-executed action scene will do it for me. And
Sometimes.
yes,
I see your point, though.
but that was it.
Next up, Avengers Standoff Assault on Pleasant Hill Alpha, #1. Old Man Cap gets wise to Maria Hill's open-air penitentiary while the inmates stage an escape. Is it accessible? No, because this should not have been a #1. There's literally Avengers Standoff Welcome to Pleasant Hill #1 last month, where they set everything that goes on in this up, and now they have another #1 for no reason. This should have been a #2, and I don't know. I'm going to keep reading because I want to know what this big summer event is leading up to, and I kind of like the sci-fi quality of, like, changing bad guys into normal people, but no, this should not have been on the #1 list. It was...
numbering
Yeah.
aside, I think the event is at least mediocre.
Yeah, mediocre
It's
at
interesting. I just don't think it'll have very much lasting effect.
And when you're trying to follow up Secret Wars, shit.
Lords of the Jungle, featuring Tarzan and Sheena from Dynamite. A Tarzan-Sheena crossover with time travel and/or a magical parrot. In terms of accessibility, it would help to know anything about Sheena, since she's literally the only person in this, despite the fact that it says
It
Tarzan
should be
and
called
Sheena.
Lord of the Jungle, right?
Lady of the Jungle?
Lady
Lady of the Jungle. Besides
we don't have to make
Sheena, the most like played out secondary character is the magic parrot.
Is a magical parrot, yes. I saw the cover, I saw the gorgeous Alex Ross cover, and
He's
I was
killing it.
so amped, and then I opened it up and I was confused and upset. There was a lot of TNA, in a bad way. Not in a good way. There was a lot of talking animals. Tarzan's in only one panel, so that was disappointing.
TNA!
Yeah.
Talking animals!
Talking animals.
Karina Becco, she is co-writing with her husband Gabriel Hardman, Invisible Republic, some like realistic, gritty sci-fi that me and
We
Seth
really love,
really
yeah.
dig. Again, like John said, I saw this Alex Ross cover, saw that Karina was writing it, and then you open it up and it is hot garbage in there. It makes no sense. There's, yeah, what were we saying?
It's like a bad episode of Captain Planet.
So we're all out on that one.
Yeah, no one's gonna keep reading this one. We don't like giving bad reviews to anything, but this was just not our thing. And those boobs and butt thing was just so...
And there's time travel. There's like a jungle multiverse. It's all
it
very
was
confusing.
so... Yeah, it was no good in there.
Three Devils from IDW. A gypsy girl is rescued by a mysterious ex-slave and set on a course for classic Western revenge with a twist.
With a twist! Twist.
It is accessible. It's a new story with no strands from anything else. I thought the art and the layout was a bit crude. The voiceover didn't really do it for me in parts, but I thought the story was really interesting. The last 5 or 6 pages are very gripping, and I'm definitely in on the next issue.
I'm gonna read the next issue. I always appreciate Bo Hampton wrote, drew, did everything but colored this. I always appreciate the one-man army it takes to make a comic book this style. Yeah, I agree with Seth. I did not see the twist coming at the end. And it's interesting, at least, and I really like the bad guy.
Yeah,
Subtle,
they're
like,
really
not
good.
too bad guy-y, just enough. Mockingbird, #1 from Marvel. Bobby from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets her own title, highlighting the side effects of her being given Cap's super soldier serum. Is it accessible? It would really help if you watched Agents... It would really help if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is Mockingbird's first comic book besides an annual from last summer. I thought it was great. I'm going to keep reading it. It was funny, lighthearted.
I didn't really love it. I'm not going to continue reading. I thought some of the humor was good.
Mm-hmm.
The Smashing Pumpkins bit was my favorite. But overall, I just didn't... I guess maybe lacking the knowledge of the character really hindered my enjoyment of the book, so
a bulk of the title takes place in a doctor's office where she has to check in to see the side effects of the super soldier serum, and you see Tony Stark reading about STDs. Howard the Duck is in there. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was really funny.
All right. Up next, power lines from Image. An ancient power erupts in the already racially charged streets of modern California. Is it accessible? Sure.
Yeah, it's a new title.
In as
from
much as
Image.
it's a new title from Image, and you can read it.
Yeah.
From our uncontrollable laughter, I'm sure you know where this is going.
Would I keep reading it? I wouldn't. I can't.
Yeah.
For a comic book that is trying to address race relations in America, it's really racist. Then a magical Native American shoots a bunny rabbit through the eyeball to solve race relations, which just doesn't seem...
I was just turned off by the gang names in the beginning.
Oh my! That's what
Yeah.
the ham-fisted nature of how the African American characters in this book talk just made it seem racist somehow. Again, we don't want to shit on, especially creator-owned. Like this dude drew it, he wrote it. That's awesome. This is your vision. But I do not ever want to revisit White Street.
The Haunted Mansion #1, a classic Disney attraction, gets its own adventure as a morning teen is tasked at saving the mansion's ghost population.
I love that description.
Is it accessible? From that description, it is as crazy as it sounds, but it is accessible. It jumps right into the story, so plot heavy.
It's
Yeah, I don't think I'll continue reading. I don't think it was targeted at all towards us, so more power to you if younger kids like it. It was just really just batshit crazy
Yeah.
to me. The characters were just not nuanced at all. They told every single feeling they were having out loud.
Yep.
The main character kid has a laughable experience at school where he writes a report about the one person he respects in his life, his dead grandfather. And then his classmates laugh at him about it, so that was weird.
bare your soul to the class so we can laugh you off the stage about your dead grandpa. It was, yeah.
But again,
On the Matterhorn.
Who died on the Matterhorn? Yeah, I was not into this. It was laughable, like the turn of events when it's like, I'm not brave enough to go in the mansion. Yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna go in the mansion. I got this chest of fucking adventure gear and a flashlight. International Iron Man #1 from Marvel Comics. A character deconstruction on Tony Stark by an all-star creative team. Is it accessible? Yeah, it's a young Tony Stark. It would help if you knew who Iron Man was, I guess, but this is Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev. One of my favorite things he's done recently was Lando with Charles Soule.
good.
I liked it. I'm probably going to keep reading. Tony Stark is always an asshole, and he wasn't in this. He's like a young college kid in Europe doing his thing.
I really dug it too. Tony Stark's a character I don't typically like very much, but in this comic, I think his earnestness and his he's still quippy and self-deprecating, but he is not. He's taking his actions seriously. Like he's interested in this woman, and he's not jaded. So I think this story really gets that character right for me. So I'm going to continue reading as well.
And Alex Maleev's art is really good. I was surprised at how many headshots were at the end of it. People are just getting capped, and it was kind of violent. But
Yeah.
besides that, I really liked it.
Last but not least, maybe least,
Maybe least. I
is
don't know, man.
Circuit Breaker from Image. Post-Mega War Japan hates robots, but there seem to be robots everywhere.
Accessible?
In a cartoony sense,
Sure.
yeah. But would not keep reading for probably that same reason. Just
Mm-hmm.
a little too cartoonish.
Yeah. What did you say yesterday? It's like watching the worst Cartoon Network show. you've
Yeah,
ever
it's
seen.
like Toonami with less fun.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Everyone's phone has AI, and they're really relying on robots, and then robots attack them, but then robots save them. I don't know. It seemed really.
Robots are
confusing
selling
to me.
knockoff purses on the
Yeah,
subway or
there's
something.
hobo robots
Yeah,
selling
it's
shit.
just-
Oh my, yeah. Not for us.
Well, we did kind of take a shit on a bunch of
Yeah, I'm
comics
sorry,
this
guys.
but there were a good amount of bad first issues. But that'll bring us to the end of our favorite first issue segment.
To send him off, usually we all have our favorite covers of the month. We are the cover judgers. So John's going to give us his favorite cover of pretty much all time, I guess.
Of
And
all time.
No surprise, it is a weird international super league that I've never heard of.
Justice League Europe, Catnap. The cover consists of a man holding a gun to a cat's head with the mysterious, intriguing quote, "Buy this comic or we won't kill this cat."
It's very confusing.
But I mean, how can you not want to read that?
Yeah, the cat is
super
hideous. I
provocative.
do kind of want it to die.
You
so.
do, but
Who's holding the gun? Do we know? Do we find out?
it's like one of the Beefeater's henchmen, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's his name, the Beefeater?
Yeah, the Beefeater.
Oh my
He's a giant Beefeater.
Does he just drink
He's their
all the
arch
time?
nemesis.
Oh, hey. Favorite cover. That was Low, number 12. Rick Remender, Greg Tacchini, Dave McKeag. The cover is by Greg Tacchini. By leaps and bounds, it is my favorite. We've talked of Tacchini's magnificence before, but this cover shines in so many ways. The brightness and warmth of color contrast Stell's stark findings from a high vantage point as she first glimpses the barren surface she's worked so damn hard to get to. Superior job, Tacchini. Keep it up.
Best books. These are our personal favorite comic books of March 2016, and we have 30 seconds to try and explain why.
My favorite book from March 2016 was Shutter number 19 from Image. Joe Keatinge is on the story, Leela Del Duca is on the art, Owen Gianni is on the coloring, and John Workman did the lettering. You ready?
I'm ready, Freddie.
This issue is designed wonderfully. It is majority of the issue is split into 3 backstories of the Christopher siblings, running concurrently on each page. Top, middle, bottom is split into 3 colors. Top is blue, middle is yellow, bottom is pink, each telling a separate story. But the element itself isn't what elevates this issue.
10
It
seconds.
dissects the family patriarch for really the first time in the series, and the father is flushed out and makes the whole series better. Done.
Boom! You did a really good job.
What's your favorite book from March?
My favorite book from March 2016 was The Legacy of Luther Strode, number 5. This is written by Justin Jordan, art by Trad Moore, one of my favorites, and colored by Felipe Sobriero. Sorry, Felipe. It's no secret that I absolutely adore the Luther Strode series, but I was very surprised, this being the penultimate issue, that it was going to be one of the best ones he's ever written. The setup is simple. He's fighting a bunch of beefed up maniacs called the Bound. What I was surprised about is that there was such thoughtful conversation during this fight. He takes a pacifist sort of route, and as the second to last issue, it was amazing.
Perfect!
Feeling good.
You had a really Colby style to start that off.
I know, I was like amped to do it. I wanted to
Felt
sort
that.
of read it.
Oh,
it
is no secret that
It is no secret. Justin Jordan, not my favorite author, and I thought he absolutely crushed it in this one. And Trad Moore, he always crushes
I
it.
feel like we're not seeing a lot of Trad Moore recently.
I think he's just doing
with
some
that?
weird
I feel
Scandinavian
like a few
shit.
years ago it was like just Trad Moore all over the place. But.
He is, he's doing a cover of Squirrel Girl with Craven on it, and Chip Zdarsky tweeted it out, and it's hilarious
God.
looking. I think it's a double spread. How do you think Colby's going to do on this one? Best book?
He came really close last month to finishing his
He almost read
2
the whole
paragraphs
thing. Oh my
in
God.
30 seconds.
Well, let's see how he does. Let's kick it over to live in Tallahassee, Florida, Colby Boswell.
I chose Superman American Alien number 5. That's Max Landis, Francis Manipool, and Ryan Sook. This is the one I'm supposed to do in 30 seconds, but ultimately fail at every month.
It's such a cold, hard look in the mirror.
Max Landis is straight up redefining our hero, giving us bold glimpses of his growing pains as Clark Kent transforms himself into the Superman we know. What's been even more striking is Max's fleshing out of other characters in Kent's world. Issue 5's rendition of Lex Luthor is brilliantly corrupt, heady, and smart, the way Luthor should be, not maniacally crazy as he was in Batman v Superman, but I digress. Lex literally schools our young hero after he seemingly triumphed over a monster of Lex's creation. Feeling Clark's self-doubt, all of this as Clark begins to make his hardest decision yet. Oh, and the last panel is huge. Over 30 seconds, I failed again. I can't wait for issue 6, even though it won't carry the same storyline. All of these one-shots have been awesome by Max Landis.
Oh, I didn't see their favorite cover. My favorite cover of March 2016 was All New Hawkeye, number 5. Cover artist on this is the artist of the book, Ramon Perez.
Nice guy. We just met him.
We met him at C2E2. He's a cool dude. What I like about this cover, just the simplicity. The art I typically tend to like is kind of bare bones, simplicity, and this one just really is striking. I think right when I picked it up, I was like, this is my favorite cover of March. It positions the two characters in an interesting way. There's lots of negative space that works really well. The yellow is just like something you don't see very often on a comic cover. And I really liked it. The art in this book is always good, and they knocked it out the park with this cover.
Special report, top 3 update. Last month, our top 3 segment was totally focused on DC Rebirth, their big summer event where they are just rebooting the shit out of the DC universe. Usually we'd have an ARC chat here where we talk about one of our favorite books, but we thought we would do a little update because WonderCon 2016 just happened and a lot of announcements came out.
Lots of announcements.
Last month we were really concerned, and one of our biggest hopes was that the creative teams were just going to be powerhouses for all these new titles, and DC is delivering. I'm going to say it. Greg Rucka, first of all, he is returning to Wonder Woman, which is a big deal. I did not read his last run, but it was apparently cream of the crop.
Everything Greg Rucka does I've loved, so it should be interesting. It's also a return to either DC or Marvel for him, so it should be interesting.
We also have Joshua Williamson, who we talked about earlier, author of Nailbiter and Birthright, one of my favorite comics. He is taking on The Flash, which is getting a complete overhaul too.
Not a character I'm into, but that interests me enough that I'll probably check it out.
Scott Snyder, he is moving a new title called All-Star Batman, and Seth's truest boy, Tom King, is taking on the Cape and Cowl himself and writing the Central Batman title for DC. That's huge.
So let's jump in a little bit into the Batman stuff. Obviously, Scott Snyder moving from Central Bat title to All-Star Batman got a lot of news over the last couple weeks. What All-Star Batman is going to be like, obviously calling it All-Star Batman puts it in comparison to All-Star Superman, which everyone seemed to love. And it
Grant
was
Morrison, Frank
very
Quietly,
good.
all the greatest hits of Batman. Or Superman, sorry.
We don't know quite how long this title will run, but we do know that the first 13 issues are going to fall under My Own Worst Enemy storyline, which will take on a bunch of classic villains from Batman's history. So the 13 issues will consist of short arcs focusing on big-time baddies. They will be in continuity. Each issue that focuses on a specific bad guy will be drawn by some heavy hitters. So a couple artists that will be contained in the 13-issue run. We have John Romita Jr., Paul Pope, Sean Murphy, Tula Lotay, Jacques, Francisco Francavilla. That's crazy.
I know.
Crazy lineup.
Besides like one or two, I can instantly see their art style in my head. Paul Pope, he did Batman Year 100, which is iconic looking. Sean Murphy, he does Tokyo Ghosts right now. His art style it gets some criticism for character design. He's got like normal dude.
I love it though.
Oh, I fucking love it though. Jock, he's been doing a lot of Batman stuff, and I always like his Batman artwork. He did
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. Stay with me. My girl, Tulalo Tay is going to do a couple issues with
For
Poison Ivy.
And just to reiterate this point, all of these artists are going to reimagine the look of these characters, and the look will continue on throughout the rest of the books in the DC universe, which that just blew my mind. That's so cool. I hope these characters get big revamps. I'm sure the internet will go crazy and hate half of them, but I'm into it. Obviously, All-Star Batman's the biggest news item that's come out about Rebirth. Just a quick thing about Tom King.
You ever heard of him? Your boy!
This guy, I was reading an interview with Scott Snyder about his stuff, and he commented that he thinks Tom King is the next big writer in comics. And I couldn't disagree. It should be a completely new take on Batman, and everyone says that with new runs, but honestly, it does. If you look at some of the covers and artwork that's come out, there's even new characters called Gotham and Gotham Girl, which sounds terrible.
That sounds
just on
awful.
on its face. It's something that I would mock, but honestly, I haven't read anything from Tom King I haven't loved. It should be really interesting. He has a background working with the CIA, which has helped him with his book, The Sheriff of Babylon, which has been excellent from Vertigo. I expect it to widen the scope of the Batman, comparing it to Scott Snyder stuff, something I'm really excited about. There has been a lot of negativity, and well-deserved for DC, but the last 2 or 3 weeks of news have really gotten me excited about these books.
It's such a cold, hard look in the mirror. What's the point? Huh? Oh, I didn't see you there. Favorite cover?
My favorite cover of March 2016 was Spider-Man #2. The cover artist is Sarah Pichelli and Justin Ponzer. Look at him, just right up there. I'm quickly falling in love with Miles Morales for the first time, and this cover with all the Avengers down, he picks up the shield, suit's all ripped. What's not to like? It's just super rad. I always like seeing people pick up Cap's shield that aren't Cap. I don't know, that seems kind of silly to say out loud, but yeah.
Finally, for our last segment, we like to do a top 3 with the subject changing each month. And a couple weeks ago, we went to C2E2 in Chicago, and we are going to do today a top 3 cosplay from C2E2. But before we jump in, just a quick recap of our experience. Had a really good time, lots of good cosplay, really good time interacting with big time creators and small publisher guys, and it was just a really cool, like it always is, eye-opening experience. A good 3 days with my best buds.
Ooh, best bud rank, yeah. 2015, we went to a lot of panels. It was my first con. I didn't know this about myself, but cosplay makes my blood all hot and crazy, and I cannot contain myself. So it was having it not be my first one, I sort of knew what I was getting into, and this year, really light on the panels. There was nothing good. I'm sorry. Mike Mignola's talk was really interesting if you're Colby, and I just felt lost. It did make I started reading Hellboy because it got me really jacked for it.
I think the reason, though, was because of a scheduling thing, and it fell a week before WonderCon and then 2 weeks before Emerald City. So hopefully next year the schedule gets figured out and we have a bigger C2E2.
Yeah, we saw so many Image panels last year and it was so cool. And this year, no Image, no DC, no Marvel. Yeah. It was I was a little surprised.
And then with the news that came out the next week, WonderCon makes sense.
But we got to sit and talk with David F. Walker, Matthew Rosenberg, Sanford Green. We met Mike Mignola, who signed a bunch of stuff and made Colby's big old Bigfoot heart just explode.
Got to interact with Mark Waid again, which is cool.
We did watch a panel with Mark Waid on the most annoying TV program I've ever thought of.
But anyway, overall we had a really good time. Let's get into the cosplay.
My number 3 cosplay of C2E2 2016 is Steve Zissou, and what really makes it is that's a chick. I love the gender swap, and she's with the Jaguar shark. It's just adorable, and also the booth we're in, you can sort of see it in the background, was selling a ton of Wes Anderson stuff, and I was just like super jacked for Wes Anderson things.
My number 3 from C2E2 was this just perfect rendition of Miss Marvel. It is just, everything about it's perfect. I love the costume in general, and I think this person did a wonderful job.
The next day, we saw the same person dressed as one of the DC bombshells, and she was just crushing it cosplay style.
That
So,
group knew what was happening.
Yeah,
We'll
big
throw a
up to
picture
those
of
ladies.
that.
My number 2, I got a childhood dream to come true. I met 2 of the Ninja Turtles, and they were perfect Ninja Turtle from the horrible 90s movies. And they were like, just standing there giving the like, oh yeah. And I waited in line with like a bunch of little kids and made Seth stand there and take my picture with them.
We had to wait for so many little kids.
Bucket list fulfilled. Yeah, I didn't want to cut any of the little kids, but those dudes just looked awesome. You could tell that they were having fun, even though they couldn't see, breathe, or sweat in those suits. Thanks, Ninja Turtles.
My number 2 was a classic cosplay, but it was the Joker. First of all, that guy's just super tall and lean, and I think that fits perfectly with the Joker. The gun with the bang is a classic element of that character, which I really enjoyed. And he was just really, really creepy.
He stayed in character the whole time, and it was really unsettling.
Very unsettling.
He had the laugh down, the smile. He was beating up Green Arrow, which I enjoyed, because I don't really like that character.
Yeah, it was a good costume. Before we get to our number 1, is there any honorable mentions that you'd like to hit on?
I saw an amazing Destro.
We saw the Will from Saga, which was really good. We saw a crazy mechanized Iron Man suit.
Oh my god, the Hulkbuster.
Smasher, whatever.
The
That's
best
another
Ray
one.
by far was Little Kid Ray. Oh my god. And sad Kylo Ren eating lunch with a Ghostbuster is one of my favorite like slice of life pictures I got from there.
But to top it all off, your cosplay of C2E2 2016 was...
Easy pick for me. This little kid dressed like Pac-Man, and it was perfect. And the mom knew it. And I was like, can I take a picture? And I took her picture, and I looked at the mom and was like, that is awesome. And she was like, yeah, it's sweet. It looks, I mean, it doesn't look like the best costume, but he or she was like this tall, and it was just so funny to me.
You got, like, that's a costume that many people would think was, like, super easy, but I think whatever they did, it turned out so well.
Yeah, and the fact that it was a kid, I don't know, I have a soft spot.
My favorite cosplay from C2E2 was 3 characters from The Wicked and Divine.
Ooh.
Every time me and Nick see a creator-owned comic cosplay, it really gets us going.
Yeah.
And this was the best one I saw all weekend. Anyway, that's our top 3 from March. Top 3 cosplays from C2E2 2016. If you have any other cosplay pictures.
Thank you for everyone that let us take their picture,
Absolutely.
too. Everyone was so nice.
It's the best.
Yeah.
What may the future hold?
To close it out, we like to predict what we think is going to be a good book in the next month to come. That's April 2016. And then we revisit it at Hits and Misses at the beginning of the Hits.
Episode 12.
Episode 12. And for me, the comic I'm most excited about comes out this Wednesday. The Fix. It's by Nick Spencer. It's going to be like a crime absurdity, it sounds like, starring a drug dog beagle named Pretzels. I have only read superhero Marvel comics from Nick Spencer, but they're always well done. He's doing Sam Wilson, Captain America. He did The Superior Foes of Spider-Man. I'm really excited to see some creator-owned title from him, and it's always great because it's on Image. So,
And the comic I'm most looking forward to also comes out in a couple days. It is a much talked about book and excited probably for most people, but Black Panther #1.
ooh,
I don't think this guy's done any comics, I'm pretty sure, but it's written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, drawn by Brian Stelfreeze, a character I don't know too much about, but I'm excited to learn. He had a pretty good role in Secret Wars, and it's just wonderful to see comic book stories reflective of our diverse society. But even better than that is seeing more minority and women creative teams on books. And this is what we're getting with this book. It should be exciting. It'll be interesting to see. I feel like I always enjoy seeing non-comic book writers take a chance on the comic book form. He's a big fan, I know that. And I'm just really looking forward to it. And it's one of the biggest releases that Marvel has.
Yeah, I heard
this new rollout.
on Super Skull Vault of Midnight's podcast, they were saying that the pre-orders for that are like record-breaking. That's awesome.
So that'll do it for our forecasts. Wonder what Colby's thinking about for April.
Should we kick it live to him?
Kick it live to Miami, Florida, South Beach. Colby Buswell.
BPRD Hell on Earth number 140, The Exorcism. It still is my forecast for this coming month because it was on hiatus and doesn't come out till April 20th.
All right, that's it from Margaritaville, Florida, USA.
wasting
Thanks
away
for
there.
watching the hits.
It was really good having John join in.
Super good. Thank you, Mr. Nickerson.
Hopefully he watches it. Maybe he won't. Who knows?
He said he watches them all the time. He said he wasn't nervous because our views are so low. Thanks, John.
Maybe
You dick.
This is all our views. He's just rewatching them. Art good, book good.